Okay, hello. Welcome to the Cultured Bumpkin live poetry reading. Let me adjust the light. Oh, a little too much. Eh, how about that? All right, so it's live poetry reading time. Now, here's how this goes. I'm on YouTube Live recording it, and it'll go into the archives up on the old YouTube. Now, if you happen to see this a day, a month, a year, 10 years from now, put a request. I might probably will see it and make a video or read it on the next live. I also have TikTok. I'm about to hit live on my TikTok, and I have a good people on there. So a lot of times I get a lot of requests. But if I don't get any requests from anybody, then I'm just going to sit here and read poetry that I like from various books and smart tablets that are lying around. Okay. So that's how that goes. So I'm going to hit live on my TikTok and grab a volume of poetry. Dirge in the Woods, George Meredith. A wind sways the pines, and below not a breath of wild air. Still as the mosses that glow on the flooring and over the lines of the roots here and there, the pine tree drops its dead. They are quiet as under the sea. Overhead, overhead rushes life in a race. As the clouds chase, and we go, and we drop like the fruits of the tree, even we, even so. Dirge in the Woods, George Meredith. What's up, James? Good evening. Just finishing up a little George Meredith. If anybody has any, excuse me, poems, feel free to shout it out, so to speak. And if not, I'll just keep reading. George Eliot. George Eliot was a lady that George was her pen name, but I forget the lady's name. So if you remember her name, somebody say. Um, oh well. Hope you're on the mend. Hate to hear that. At Set of Sun by George Eliot. If you sit down at set of sun and count the acts that you have done, and counting find one self-denying deed, one word that eased the heart of him who heard, one glance most kind that fell like sunshine where it went, then you may count that day well spent. But if through all the livelong day you've cheered no heart by yea or nay, if through it all you've nothing done that you can trace that brought the sunshine to one face, no act most small that helped some soul and nothing cost, then count that day as worse than lost. George Eliot at Set of Sun. Good deal. Well, that is the point of these. So if you're feeling relaxed, then I know I've got the right energy level. Mm. I want to read John Clare again. I Am. I've read this several times lately, and each time it seems like it gets better. I really like it. Song of Hiawatha. That's a long one, but let me check on it for sure. I Am by John Clare. I am, yet what I am no one knows or cares. My friends forsake me like a memory lost. I am the self consumer of my woes. They rise and vanish in oblivious host, like shades in love and death's oblivion lost. And yet I am, and live with shadows tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise, into the living sea of waking dreams, where there is neither sense of life nor joys, but the vast shipwreck of my life's esteems. And in the dearest that I love the best are strange, nay, rather stranger than the rest. I long for scenes where man has never trod, a place where woman never smiled or wept, there to abide with my Creator God, and sleep as I in childhood sweetly slept, untroubling and untroubled where I lie, the grass below, above the vaulted sky. John Clare, I Am, written in the, I think it was the 1840s, in a mental institution. Let's see. Okay. Looking for Song of Hiawatha. Yeah, this is a little too long for a live, but I've been meaning to do this one and put it on my podcast and YouTube. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, but I will. Let's have a teaser. We'll have a uh, little bit, a few lines. The Song of Hiawatha easy for you to say. By the shore of Glitch Gumi, I don't even know how to say that. First line. By the shining Big Sea water, at the doorway of his wigwam in the pleasant summer morning, Hiawatha stood and waited. All the air was full of freshness, all the earth was bright and joyous, and before him, through the sunshine, westward toward the neighboring forest, passed in golden swarms the amo, past the bees, the honeymakers, burning, singing in the sunshine. Bright above him shone the heavens, level spread the lake before him, from its bosom leaped the sturgeon, sparkling, flashing in the sunshine. On its margin the great forest stood reflected in the water. Every tree top had its shadow, motionless beneath the water. From the brow of Hiawatha gone was every trace of sorrow, as the fog from off the water, as from the mist off the meadow, with a smile of joy and triumph, with a look of exultation, as of one who in a vision sees what is to be, but is not, stood and waited. Hiawatha. Excuse me. I just love his writing style. But I'm gonna um, uh, what do you call it? Put that on YouTube and podcast. Gitchy Gumi, good enough for me. Uh, okay, I'm going back up a little. Whoops, I'm going in reverse here. Curtis, what is going on? Good to see you again. Uh, yeah, American Buddha. I will be. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the whole thing. I can't tell by looking at it how long it would be, but I'm assuming that would be. If you pace it right, that's going to be 10 or 15 minutes, maybe. Maybe not that long, but I'll definitely get that. I'll definitely record that in its entirety. Willing to read The Quality of Mercy from The Merchant of Venice. Why, of course. Why, of course. And hey, Alicia, Tiger, tiger, you bet. I'm working backwards here, so I'm gonna do the quality of mercy. Excuse me. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. 'Tis mightiest in the mightiest. It becomes the throned monarch better than his crown. His scepter shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings. But mercy is above this sceptred sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God himself. An earthly power doth then show likest God's, when mercy seasons justice. Therefore, Jew, though justice be thy plea, consider this, that in the course of justice none of us should see salvation. We do pray for mercy, and that same prayer doth teach us all to render the deeds of mercy. I have spoke thus much to mitigate the justice of thy plea, which if thou follow this strict court of Venice, must needs give sentence against the merchant there. Quality of mercy, merchant of Venice, old Portia, but I forget who she was pretending to be. Who is she pretending to be? Somebody, I'm sure somebody knows. Some lawyer. Tiger, tiger. The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer? What the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil? What dread gasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? Excuse me. When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Tiger, tiger, William Blake. Good deal. Helen K., you are very welcome. Very welcome. And Alicia Bobisha, is that am I saying that right? You are very welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've always excuse me. My dad used to read The Lamb. That was like one of our bedtime poems growing up. Um, uh, Alicia Bobisha, good deal. Yeah, that's easy to remember. Goes together. But yeah, we'd read the Lamb, and so I always liked William Blake. What's up, Daniel? I think we could do that. I buzzed when I died. Jesse English, what's going on? How are you doing? Okay, I heard a fly buzz when I died. Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness in the room was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes around had wrung them dry, and breaths were gathering firm for that for that last onset, when the king be witnessed in the room. I willed my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me be assignable, and then it was there interposed a fly, with blue, uncertain, stumbling buzz between the light and me, and then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see. Excuse me. I heard a fly buzz when I died. Emily Dickinson. Wet my whistle a little bit. I've had kind of a cough the last, not much of one. It's just sort of real irregular, but my throat is a little bit. And I make my money with my throat. Got to talk every day into this thing, so I avoid colds and stuff like the plague. Daniel, you're very welcome. I'm glad that made your night. Let's see what else we got here. Trees by Joyce Cohen. I can definitely do that. Okay. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. Joyce Comer trees. Poor kid, man. Got killed right before the end of the war, World War One. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. What show? Oh, let's see. By the Bivouac's Fitful Flame. Let me see if that one's on here. I know I've got it in a book somewhere, but I don't know if it's in my office here. Okay. By the Bivouac's Fitful Flame. And this is from Leaves of Grass by, wait, yeah, by Walt Whitman. By the bivouac's fitful flame, a procession winding around me, solemn and sweet and slow. But first, I note the tints of the sleeping army, the fields and woods' dim outline, the darkness, lit by spots of kindled fire, the silence, like a phantom far or near, an occasional figure moving, the shrubs and trees. As I lift my eyes, they seem to be stealthily watching me, while wind and procession thoughts, oh tender and wondrous thoughts of life and death, of home and the past and loved, and of those that are far away. A solemn and slow procession there as I sit on the ground by the bivouac's fitful flame. Beautiful, beautiful. And that uh, has a lot of meaning since he spent a lot of time in army camps helping out with the after the battle and as in the medical, um, taking care of the wounded and whatnot. Good evening. Good evening. Excuse me. Um, my condolences about your grandmother. I just want to. I don't think I've seen you. I don't think I've done a live since then, but I just wanted to let you know, thinking about you. Um, yeah. Hey, Mel. I have before, but I haven't tonight. And even if I had, I've done plenty of poems twice in a day because this is a come and go affair. You know what I'm saying? Pop in for a couple seconds, say hey. Uh, Nobody's going to tie you down. Um, so you're never late, nor are you early. You arrive precisely when you mean to. Gandalf, of course. Okay, Dylan Thomas. You bet. You bet. Romeo, what's going on, brother? Okay. Dylan Thomas, do not go gentle into that good night. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way, do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men near death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. You're very welcome. Great suggestion. Oh, thanks, Chris. Thank you, Melissa. And yes, we just need Juliet in here. Romeo and Juliet. Get a Let's see. Once More Into the Breach. Okay. So since this is a bedtime reading, I will read it, but I'm gonna read it like a poem instead of like perform it. You know what I mean? So if you want to hear shouting, I just did that one. I posted that one a day or two ago. So it ought to be pretty um it's a little louder. But I will read it though, because I just love the poetry of it. Henry Fifth's my favorite play, I think. Yeah, yeah, it does work as a calm one. I mean, I think great writing can you can use any energy level you want, and it's gonna sound pretty good. And I think this is no different. Okay, once more into the beat, breach by William Shakespeare. Once more into the breach, dear friends, once more, or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard favored rage. Then lend the eye a terrible aspect. Let pry through the portage of the head like the brass cannon. Let the brow o'erwhelm it as fearfully as doth a galled rock o'erhang and jutty his confounded base, swilled with the wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth, and stretch the nostril wide. Hold hard the breath, and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, on, you noblest English, whose blood is fet from fathers of war proof, fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from morn till even fought and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers. Now attest that those whom you called fathers did beget you. Be copy now to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not. For there is none of you so mean and base that hath not noble lustre in your eyes. I see you stand like greyhounds in the slips, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit. And upon this charge, cry God for Harry, England, and St. George. There's so many good one-liners in there, you know? Let's say, thank you. The, I love the picture of, in the old warfare, like from the Iliad and stuff like that, and then if you read, any kind of, um, Stephen Pressfield, Gates of Fire type of stuff, you have these Spartans with their shields and their spears, and they, like, set their feet, and they press against one another, and then when the enemy hits them, they're like hitting a wall because not only are they dug into the ground like a sprinter digging their cleats into the dirt, but they've locked shields with the guy over here, and they've locked their arm over here. Anyway, and this that it says, now set the teeth and stretch the nostril wide, hold hard the breath and bend up every spirit to his full height. And if you've ever been in the gym or done anything where you have a maximum effort for one repetition, whatever that is, picking up a super heavy thing and putting it in the back of a truck, or a heavy weight off the floor, or just whatever, you just gotta get hard. And I don't know, I just love the way he describes that right there. And yeah. Jesse, I've got a lot of favorites. Um, Favorite song? I don't know. I don't know. I would have to think about that one. Okay, Psalm 90. And then let's see. Did I hear a Ulysses? The Lord Tennyson Ulysses? Okay, I gotta plug this thing in so it doesn't. I always have to perch it precariously on there. So it's probably gonna fall at some point. It's because it's like balancing. I think they need to put the charging port on the top of there. Okay. All right, Psalm 90. Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever thou hast formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. Thou turnest man to destruction, and sayest, Return, ye children of men. For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past, and as a watch in the night. Thou carriest them away as with a flood. They are as asleep. In the morning they are like grass which groweth up. In the morning it flourisheth and groweth up. In the evening it is cut down and withereth. For we are consumed by thine anger, and by thy wrath are we troubled. Thou hast set our iniquities before thee, our secret sins in the light of thy countenance. For all our days are passed away in thy wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told. The days of our years are 60 and 10. And if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away. Who knoweth the power of thine anger? Even according to thy fear, so is thy wrath. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. Return, O Lord, how long? And let it repent thee concerning thy servants. O satisfy us with thy mercy, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad according to the days wherein thou hast afflicted us, and the years wherein we have seen evil. Let thy work appear unto thy servants, and thy glory unto their children. And let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands upon us. The work of our hands establish thou it. Psalm 90. Let's see. I lost my place. What are we doing? Ulysses. Yeah, keep your voice from straining. Read as relaxed as possible. So that's going to be like try to, even if it's like humming a note, like you could hum your favorite song if it's a lullaby or a hymn or something like that. So just like, you just want to relax it, and then read from there. So, like if I was going to narrate like this, Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. I couldn't last very long like that. 5-10 minutes maybe, and then I'd need a break. Whereas if I'm doing it like this, Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. That's like walking as opposed to running. You can sprint for, I don't know, a few seconds. Or, if it's a medium sprint, you can go a few minutes maybe. Whereas if you sort of, just jogging, doing the old airborne shuffle, Apache trot, you could go a long time. And that's kind of how reading is. As long as you're super relaxed, you can go. And then try to hydrate too, because you you actually lose a lot of moisture talking, you know. Obviously, you blow on a window or breathe on a window, it'll kind of fog up. Well, that's moisture coming out of you. So you got to replace it. Thank you. I appreciate that you read the King James Version. I know it's like the absolute masterpiece of the English language. Even people that don't believe it or don't like it admit George Bernard Shaw was an atheistic communist, and he was like, King James Bible is that's the top of the pile of English literature. So, and like anybody, I tell them that is trying to do voice acting and stuff, because I have a lot of students I coach. Like, get where you can read Shakespeare and the King James Bible. If you can read those, you can read anything, and make them sound musical. Let's see. Okay, where are we? Excuse me. Like I said, hum and blow through a straw. Never done that. I'm pretty sure I couldn't. I would need a lot of training for that. Okay. So we're going to Ulysses, and then Psalm 24. Ulysses. And then what was the other one? Was there a Frost one? Somebody say Frost? Here, the gift out. Oh, okay. Okay, Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. It little profits that an idle king by this still hearth among the barren crags, matched with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal laws unto a savage race that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone on shore, and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hyades vex the dim sea, I am become a name. For always roaming with a hungry heart, much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but honored of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch where through gleams that untraveled world, whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use, as though to breathe were life. Life piled on life were all too little, and of one to me little remains. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence, something more, a bringer of new things, and vile it were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself, and this gray spirit yearning to desire, excuse me, to follow knowledge like a sinking star beyond the utmost bound of human thought. This is my son, mine own Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle, well loved of me, discerning to fulfill this labor, by slow prudence to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to my household gods when I am gone. His work, he works his work, I mine. There lies the port, the vessel puffs her sail, there gloom the dark broad seas, my mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine, and opposed free hearts, free foreheads. You and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Death closes all, but something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done. Not unbecoming men that strove with gods, the lights begin to twinkle from the rocks. The long day wanes, the slow moon climbs. the deep moans round with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order, smite the sounding froze. For my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset, in the baths of all the western wars until I die. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles, and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. I love that one. Yeah, that's a great line, and that's kind of in the vernacular. Another one is, where'd that one go? Um, uh, I don't know. There's a bunch of great one-liners in there. I mean, death closes all, but something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done. I love that one. Gift Outright by Frost. Okay, The Gift Outright by Robert Frost. The land was ours before we were the land's. She was our land more than 100 years before we were her people. She was ours in Massachusetts and Virginia, but we were England's, still colonials, possessing what we still were unpossessed by what we now no more possessed. Something we were withholding made us weak until we found out that it was ourselves we were withholding from our land of living, and forthwith found salvation in surrender. Such as we were, we gave ourselves outright. The deed of gift was many deeds of war, to the land vaguely realizing westward, but still unstoried, artless, unenhanced, such as she was, such as she would become. The Gift Outright, Robert Frost. Mm, yeah, that was a good line. Okay, let's see. Grateful. Okay. How old was he? Tennyson or Ulysses? I do read John Donne. Yeah, that's a good line. Okay, who are you asking about? How old he was? I mean, because I didn't know either. Like either one of those. Yeah, I mean, truly, definitely old man words. But it's kind of like you're never too old to not be of value or to keep setting goals and pushing for them. He's like, I'm gonna go fight till I die. Like, I love that. I love that attitude. Um, was it James? You mentioned Dawn. Did you have a particular Dawn poem? James? But yeah, Ulysses is that was a good one. I love that one. Um, favorite point. One of my favorites is um, what you call it? Uh, John Keats, Ode to a Nightingale. That's one of my very favorite ones. Um, I really like Tennyson. I like P.D. Eastman. So aristocratic. We Army vet here, 200 jumps. Um, wanted to hear "Go Dog Go" the other day. So on the last night or the last one, um, we read "Go Dog Go." Yeah. What's my friend, my hater? They're one. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, you suck at that. It's the worst. You clearly don't know anything he's saying." Okay. Uh, Big Red One. Yeah, that's right. Greatest reading. Thank you. I appreciate that. Had the illustrations and everything. Yeah, that was fun. It's a good time. It was even more special coming from, someone that, on paper doesn't sound uh immature, but they've got an immature streak in them. You know what I'm saying? Gonna be one, be a big that's right. That's right. Do the first. Uh, see, I don't if I the where am I? I am sorry, Ode to a Nightingale is probably my favorite poem. Certainly one of my favorites. It's just it's like I've I've thought those things before. He just in much less eloquent terms, mind you, but those thoughts are like, yeah, I feel like I know how he feels. And then I think a lot of people feel like that though. You mean King David said, "Oh, that I had wings like a dove, then would I fly and be at rest." Well, that's kind of what John Keats said in about a 7-minute poem. you know, um, but that sort of thought to wish you could fly high above your problems is a sort of an age-old feeling, I suppose. Um, the okay, I'm off on my requests here. I'm all out of cattywampus. Trying to work my way back up real quick. Romeo, I'm gonna stick to the kind of the classic poetry this evening, but that's interesting for for another live. I'll have a look at that one because I'm not familiar with that one. And I don't like doing cold readings of things that I've never even seen because I feel like I'm not doing it justice. You know what I mean? I like to at least know the author pretty well, and uh, I'm really sorry to hear that. Well, I really, yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that. That is tough. But, Romeo, I will have a look at it, because sometimes a time or two, I'll just completely trip and fall on my face, and I feel like I'm taking art and, like, rubbing elephant dung upon it, you know what I mean? It's like, this isn't the New York Museum of Art. This is a live reading of beautiful poetry. We're not gonna be disrespectful in here. Um Okay, okay, I'm still trying to work where uh, mm, oops. What I mean, I'm making a joke, but I remember a while back there was a um a exhibition at the New York, I don't know, Metropolitan Museum of Art. I don't know what the title of it, but it was an art museum in New York. And that was the art. I'm using quotations, yes, because I do not consider stuff like that art. Um, uh, but yeah, people actually will do stuff like that and then be like, "Oh, look at this, isn't it great?" And me, I'm like, "No, I don't think that's great." But if that's your thing, you do it. I'm not gonna stop you, but don't expect me to applaud. You know what I'm saying? Some things I think it's disgusting, and maybe the point of art is to get a strong reaction out of somebody, and if that's all art is, well, then, yeah, maybe so, but I don't like that kinda stuff. Um, but my point being, when I do a cold read from something I'm not familiar with, I feel like I'm not doing it justice. I feel like I'm sort of taking a dump on it, so to speak. So I like to look at it, be like, okay, get my thing, get my bearings, and then um, go from there. On Facebook, ignore the username. I made it when I was a teenager. Good deal. Good deal. Well, that's a good username. So yeah, we're on do a TikTok live, YouTube live. That way I can have it saved, and most of my requests come from the TikTok side. So, yeah, welcome. If you have a request, definitely drop it in. Let's see. I think I'm behind up here. The cold within. Let's see. Excuse me. Speaking of cold, I just put the short story "To Build a Fire" by Jack London. I put the full narration of that on my YouTube. If you like short stories, short story. It's the recording's 48 minutes. I mean, how short is that? But I loved the story. I really like Jack London. Uh, The Cold Within. Okay, here we go. The Cold Within by James Patrick Kinney. 6 humans trapped by happenstance in bleak and bitter cold. Each one possessed a stick of wood, or so the story's told. Their dying fire in need of logs, the first man held his back, for of the faces round the fire he noticed one was black. The next man, looking across the way, saw one not of his church, and couldn't bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. The third one sat in tattered clothes. He gave his coat a hitch. Why should his log be put to use to warm the idle rich? The rich man just sat back and thought of the wealth he had in store, and how to keep what he had earned from the lazy, shiftless poor. The black man's face bespoke revenge as the fire passed from his sight, for all he saw in his stick of wood was a chance to spite the white. The last man of this forlorn group did not except for gain. Giving only to those who gave was how he played the game. Their logs held tight in death's still hands was proof of human sin. They didn't die from the cold without, they died from the cold within. That's so good. That's a good poem. Oh, Heather, what's going on? Jumped from YouTube. Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. Good to have you. Good to have you. Yeah, Heather has got some really good stuff. You gotta follow her. Um, okay, I'm all over the shop with my comments just because it'll refresh, and I'm fat fingered, and I'm like, where was I? And anyway, hmm. So I'm to searching if you've done Dolce et Disco. I don't think I've ever. I did it on a live the other night, but I don't know if I've ever recorded it. Uh, and I can tell you right now, Christopher Eggleston does the best rendition of that on YouTube. It's on YouTube of anybody. Uh, Absolutely spellbinding. Marla, hello. Great to see you again. Jesse, I grew up in Mississippi. In Man in the Arena. We could definitely do that. Let's do and again, since this is a, bedtime reading, I don't perform any of these. If you want to see a performance, go to YouTube and look at Christopher Eggleton, whatever. Um, do this one because he'll blow your little cotton socks off. Uh, so anytime I hear, you know, politicians in Washington from any party talk about what a great thing war is and how we should be fighting everybody and defending democracy around the world and all this kind of stuff, which I'm all for democracy, but getting it is one thing. Anyway, this is the kind of stuff that they need to be thinking about. Okay, and this is pretty much uh, a scene from Wilfred Owen, who fought in World War I, and he saw this stuff with his own eyes. And as you'll see, only eyes that had seen it could come up with something like this. Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge, till on the haunting flares we turned our backs, and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched sleep. Many had lost their boots, but limped on, bloodshod. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Gas, gas, quick boys, an ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time. But someone still was yelling out and stumbling and floundering like a man in fire or lime, dim through the misty panes and thick green light, as under a green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in, and watch the white eyes writhing in his hanging face like a devil's sick of sin, if you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, dulce est decor, dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. Because that mustard gas that they used in World War I, when you breathe it in, it would blister your lungs. and then the mucus response from your body, it'll choke you, basically. Is horrific way to go. Horrific. Yes, The Doctor. You go to YouTube and watch The Doctor. Read that one, and he performs it. Like, he's in a suit and, like, in front of a window, and it's beautifully shot and everything, but he'll make your hair stand up. Cody, if what? I'm kidding. I know exactly what you mean. Uh, Quirky Cat, what's going on? Uh, okay, let's see. Wicked Witch, fashionably late as always. I'm just kidding. Good to have you. That is Wilfred Owen, who is a uh, World War One veteran, a British soldier, and that was not made up. That was that was something horrific that he put in a poem. But he saw that kind of stuff daily. That wasn't one time thing. And then I think the anyone that you know suffers from seeing things in their sleep that they um, you know that happen to them. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me. You know what I mean? Like, I've talked to many a veteran that said, there's just one guy that I just 80 years later can't get out of my mind. I see him every night. Sometimes it's, on his team, sometimes it's somebody on the other side, and sometimes it's multiple people. But anyway, tough. War is not glorious. Where were we? If Rudyard Kipling. All right. Okay. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build 'em up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose, and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. If by Rudyard Kipling. Um, the yeah, Wicked Witch. I said Wilfred Owen, right? About that author. If not, Wilfred Owen is the author. Uh, Dory, you are welcome. Which one which one did you ask? We got yours in, right? Uh, World War One. Yeah, it was mass murder. There was, yeah, that was one of the saddest wars, really. Because I mean, there's not really, besides the politicians, there wasn't a villain like Hitler or Stalin, even whatever. It was it was just like there's just a bunch of kids having at each other. Yeah, Brandy, that is very heavy. Uh, and thank you for the little crown. Jesse, North Carolina, very cool. My grandparents are from uh, North Carolina. I just spent a week up there in July. Beautiful state, a lot of cool stuff up there. Cody, that's a good one. Heather, yes, I am taking requests. Um, Sometimes I have to turn them down for length, or if it's like I'm so unfamiliar with that, I'm afraid that it wouldn't be fun for any of us for me to read that kind of thing. But yes, within reason. Daffodils, absolutely. William Wordsworth. All right. Okay. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So lovely. Mm, so, you're very welcome. Okay, I just went all the way down to the bottom, so I'm gonna work back up a little. Um, so I'm sorry if I'm not answering anybody, if I've missed somebody. Yeah, Eris Patty, I don't know, it's very relaxing to listen to. W.H. Auden, we could work that in. Uh, Christmas Truce was World War One. There have been um, several Christmas truces, but I think there were some in World War One. They're definitely in World War Two and the American Civil War. Uh, Little Abigail and the Beautiful Pony. Yeah. Okay, Little Abigail and the Beautiful Pony by Shel Silverstein. There was a girl named Abigail who was taking a drive through the country with her parents when she spied a beautiful, sad eyed gray and white pony. And next to it was a sign that said, "For sale, cheap." "Oh," said Abigail, "may I have that pony? May I please?" And her parents said, "No, you may not." And Abigail said, "But I must have that pony." And her parents said, "Well, you can have a nice butter pecan ice cream cone when we get home." And Abigail said, "I don't want a butter pecan ice cream cone. I want that pony. I must have that pony." And her parents said, "Be quiet and stop nagging. You're not getting that pony." And Abigail began to cry and said, "If I don't get that pony, I'll die." And her parents said, "You won't die. No child ever died from not getting a pony." And Abigail felt so bad that when she got home, she went to bed and she couldn't eat and she couldn't sleep. And her heart was broken and she did die, all because of a pony that her parents would. Dang it. Talk about heavy. That was like Wilfred Owen right there. Oh, that's great. His stuff is so good and melodramatic. Uh, let's see. Uh, Mel. Um, wait, first, Sarah Hodges. How you doing? First of all, Sarah. Stop in my woods on a snowy evening. I love it. Let's do it. But I'm going to put that at the back of the line, which is Man in the Arena. Thank you, Mel, because Arispati had asked for that. And Spring and Fall. Spring and Fall? Who's the author of that one? And then, um, what's a poem you consider highly overrated? I don't know, because to me, who am I to say if it's overrated or not? Even if I don't like it or whatever that might be. I don't know. It's not really, if it moves you and you like it, you know, I'm not going to say boo. Um, so I don't know. Maybe if I don't know, I thought of one that I just hated or something. Maybe I would be more direct, but I know I'm kind of punting on that question. But yeah, I mean, I always find it small minded when someone is like, like, oh, that's disgusting. I hate it. You're like, No, that's whatever delicacy of a dish and whatever culture. You just don't have taste buds to handle it. You know what I mean? Like, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not really good. Um, so I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. Throat lozenge. Sorry. All of the cellophane. Okay. All right. Um, it is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But he who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And the yeah, and if I miss somebody's poem, my apologies. I'm kind of this thing forces me into haphazardness. I don't think that's a word, but you know what I meant. this one. Uh, Bright Star to make up for Abigail. Uh, Come on. Okay, yes, let's do it, but let's see, I've got one more. Um, yes, Sarah, that'd be a good one. I bet you somebody's done that. I bet you if you got on, I don't know, just Googled it, get on Amazon or Etsy or something, I bet you could find some. Because when I just Googled it, I instead of going to a poem, like most if you do Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, it'll take you to Poetry Foundation or allpoetry.com or something. You type in "Man in the Arena," it'll pull up a bunch of posters. So I bet you could go shopping if you want to. Okay. Okay, Song on Myself. Okay, so we got Stopping by Woods. We got Bright Star. We got Song on Myself. 6. And the other one, Etsy, that's a good place to get like original type or small batch art for sure. And I wasn't annoyed with y'all. I was annoyed with Austin, who was being a little twerp, little jerk. Austin's awesome, but he was intentionally stirring the pot like Macbeth's witches. Spring and fall. Okay, that was the other one. Okay, spring and fall. Hopkins. Margaret, are you grieving over golden love, golden grove unleaving? Leaves like the things of man. This thing has all these accent marks on it, and I'm not used to that. Like unnecessary accent marks, not necessary, unnecessary accent marks, and it's totally throwing me off. Okay, let's start over. Delete, throw it on the cutting room floor, burn it. Okay, start, hit play. Margaret, are you grieving over Golden Grove unleaving? Leaves like the things of man, you with your fresh thoughts care for, can you? Ah, as the heart grows older, it will come to such sights colder by and by, nor spare a sigh through worlds of wanwood leaf meal lie. And yet you will weep and know why. Now no matter, child, the name. Sorrow's springs are the same, nor mouth had, no nor mind expressed what heart heard of, ghost guessed. It is the blight man was born for. It is the Margaret you mourn for. Spring and Spring and Fall, Jordan Manley Hopkins. Okay, Robert Frost, Stopping by Woods on a snowy evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there's some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. All right, now Bright Star to make up for Abigail. Okay. Bright Star by John Keats. Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art, not in lone splendor hung aloft the night, and watching with eternal lids apart, s- like nature's patient, sleepless eremite, the moving waters at their priest-like task of pure ablution round earth's human shores, or gazing on the new soft fallen mask of snow upon the mountains and the moors. No, yet still steadfast, still unchangeable, pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast, to feel forever its soft fall and swell, awake forever in a sweet unrest, still, still to hear her tender taken breath, and so live forever, or else swoon to death. Well, those accents I found completely unnecessary. I'm just kidding. They were on some of the words. It was like, well, Margaret, I've seen, you put it you can make turn it into a like a marguerite or something like that, but then other ones, it was like, "and" doesn't need an accent mark. "The" doesn't need an accent mark, and this thing was covered in them. I think the editor got carried away. I don't think Hopkins actually did that. I think we had a trigger happy editor on that one. That was I don't blame Hopkins. All right, where were we? Uh, um, Hi, Amanda. How's it going? Yeah, I like to do I read poetry, kind of take poetry requests. I read poetry for my and stuff for my podcast, YouTube, things like that. I like classic literature. So yeah, welcome. You ran over a prairie dog the other day. I always hate it when I do something like that. I was weed eating the other day, and some people call it weed whacking, depending on what part of the country you're from. And I killed a toad. I love toads. I'm a big Wind in the Willows fan, and I've loved toads since I was a kid. And it was like in the tall grass, and I was just, going along and took him out. It made me sad. Ever? No, I haven't. I have not read Brother Ira. I'm. I don't seem busy because of this, but I'm a busy little fella, and I have not. I have not taken the time yet. I need to. All right. Let's see. Where were we? So we got in Flanders Field, John McCrae. That's a great one. And Birches by Frost as well. Margie, how could you? Too soon. Too soon. Oh, Sarah, what a horrible thing. I mean, I'm not calling you a monster. It sounds innocent. You wanted to have a friend to play and go swimming with, but that's really sad. Airspray. Yeah, I like stand up. Y'all are making jokes about my heartbreak. I don't think I like it. All right. Song of Myself, number 6, Walt Whitman. A child said, "What is the grass?" fetching it to me with full hands. How could I answer the child? I do not know what it is any more than he. I guess it must be the flag of my disposition, out of hopeful green stuff woven. Or I guess it is the handkerchief of the Lord, a scented gift and remembrancer designedly dropped, bearing the owner's name some way in the corners, that we might see and remark and say, "Whose?" Or I guess the grass itself is itself a child, and produced babe of the vegetation. Or I guess it is a uniform hieroglyphic, and it means sprouting alike in broad zones and narrow zones, growing among black folk as white folk, Cannock, Tuckahoe, Congressman, Cuff. I give them the same, I receive them the same. And now it seems to me the beautiful uncut hair of graves. Tenderly will I use you, curling grass. It may be you transpire from the breasts of young men. It may be you are from old people or from offspring taken. It may be if you had known them. It may be if I had known them, I would have loved them soon out of their mother's laps. And here you are, the mother's laps. This grass is very dark to be from the white heads of old mothers, darker than the colorless beards of old men, dark to come from under the faint red roofs of mouths, where I perceive, after all, so many uttering tongues, and I perceive they do not come from the roofs of mouths for nothing. I wish I could translate the hints about the dead young men and women, and hints about old men and mothers, and the offspring taken too soon out of their laps. What do you think has become of the young and old men? And what do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprouts shows there is really no death. And and if ever there was it my eyes are getting tired. This last one, if I don't have it memorized, this last one. And if ever was it led forward life and does not wait at the end to arrest it, and ceased the moment life appeared. All goes onward and outward, nothing collapses, and to die is different from what anyone supposed and luckier. Mark, Mark. Oh man, there is an artiste among us. Mark is the greatest artist you've ever seen. He's a Shakespeare fiend. He's a Wordsworth fiend. We just read Wordsworth, Mark. We've read Shakespeare. We just read Walt Whitman. Um, yeah, you are among friends here. Uh, but also, I consider it the opposite of that. Seriously, that Mark is an incredible painter. Incredible. Uh, Heather, I think it must have been. I mean, he spent so much time around, field hospitals and stuff. I can't help but think that's, what he was thinking about. Jason, that's interesting. I could see that. That was deep. Air Spidey, I don't know if your chat froze or not. Don't know. Don't know. Dragonflies and dandelions. I'm glad you caught me too. Um, yeah, I have the book. I own the book, but it's not in here. It's sort of a go dog go situation like the other night. I would have to go and retrieve it from, you know, another place. Um, my eternal evolution. Well, thank you. Like, I think you would like it here. This is what we do, chit chat. You meet other people that like poetry. Um, like, you know, going back to Mark, because we've hung out in person. Like, he's a great artist, and you wouldn't know because he's got an egg right there for a profile. But you know, anyway, this is a fun. I thoroughly enjoy this because I feel like I'm talking. I'm in a like a coffee shop having a coffee, or in a energetic little dinner spot having burgers and IPAs or something. We do have an excellent group here. We should give ourselves a hand. You're not a face snaring. Wait, how? I don't. I don't know what that means. But yeah, if you should all follow Mark, and then if he ever puts a post up, then you'll see some of his art. You're making it less excellent talking like that. I'm just kidding. You can say what you want. Yeah, exactly. Some people, they're the to each his or her own. The But my younger brother, I was just talking to him the other night, and that's how he talks right there. He's a Marine. Um, who is my favorite to read? Um, let's see. I really like classic, the sort of 19th century and before. So I would say late 16th to through 19th are going to be most of my favorites are in there. So Christopher Marlowe, Shakespeare, um, um, John Donne, John Milton, uh, John Bunyan, even though I don't think we've ever read any of his stuff. All the way up to like the English and American poets like Whitman, Longfellow, uh, the Brownings, Robert Burns. I kind of like that. That's my favorite. That doesn't narrow it down much, but does a little bit. Yeah. So this thing's about to fall over again. Well, maybe I like formaldehyde. Ever thought of that? I love poetry about nature. Read your favorite one, please and thank you. Dead gummit. Okay. Thing fell off. Jenny, what's going on? Okay, favorite one about nature. Let's see. We read Daffodils by William Wordsworth. That's one of my favorites. I think another one of my favorites is Ode to a Nightingale. It's not a nature poem, but there's a lot of nature, uh, imagery in it. So I really like that one. Um, Actually, let me do this one. It's a shorter one by Whitman. Uh, okay. Okay, so I used to be stationed out in Kansas, at Fort Riley in the 4th U.S. Cavalry Regiment with the 1st Infantry Division. Um, that's awesome. Enjoy your time down in watercolor. Paint me something good. Send me a pic. That's cool. That's awesome. Uh, okay, so anyway, this is from Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman, and it's called A Prairie Sunset because it really reminds me of, being out in Kansas on the prairie, um, seeing those gorgeous Kansas sunsets. Shot gold, maroon, and violet, dazzling silver, emerald, fawn, the earth's whole amplitude and nature's multiform power consigned for once to colors. The light, the general air possessed by them, colors till now unknown, no limit, confine, not the western sky alone, the high meridian, north, south, all, pure luminous color fighting the silent shadows to the last. You bet, Jenny. My pleasure. The Heather, how are your folks down in Florida? Y'all good? Excuse me. Every time my phone falls over, Margie yells earthquake. Well, joke's on you, Margie. We don't have earthquakes here. But it would be kind of funny if there was an earthquake somewhere else and the room started shaking and my phone falls over here on the flatlands. And then they were like, "Pff, just Jake's phone's falling over again." Oh, good. I'm glad to hear y'all are good. Good deal. Good deal. You know, y'all stay safe. Um, Jenny, you mentioned Frost. Were you saying you would like to hear a little Frost? We might do a short one because I realized on the last one I'm probably done with cold reads for the evening because when my little beady eyes get tired, then I start uh, tripping on my words. But if I know it really well or have it memorized, then it's not really an issue. And there's a couple Frost ones that I'm pretty familiar with. The, uh, the I am not causing earthquakes. Excuse me. Uh, Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Okay. I have a little short one. Fire and ice. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. That's right. Yeah, everybody's talking about the apocalypse, and then you just, yeah, fire and ice. Why not? Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate that. Really, really enjoy it, and I enjoy, you know, meeting and hanging out with other people that do too. The That is a really good one. That is a really good one. Uh, the We've had several downer poems tonight, so I think I'm going to save the death of a ball turret gunner for another night. Um, we've had several downers and tried to get it back up, but that is a splendid poem. And good night, Mel. Great having you. Thanks for being on. Had a lot of fun. Thank you very much. Well, yeah, I think I'm about to head. I'm gonna do a little more voice work before I turn in. Uh, Everybody have a good night. To those watercoloring, watching the moon or whatever Mark was doing, good night. And good night to everyone. Be good, be safe, especially if you're near a hurricane or tornado. And we'll talk to you. I'll be doing the same thing tomorrow night, most likely, if you want to come back. Great seeing everybody. Love you. Get off of here. I'm trapped. Swipe left to close. Okay. Okay, really goodbye this time. So that's wonderful. Excuse me. Uh, that's a fun. It's a fun group. It's really that's a fun group. A lot of good. It's just oh, goodbye.